So we are back for another review. It has been a busy couple of weeks. We've had Resident Evil Requiem, Slay the Spire 2 Marathon, Pokopia. So I'm pretty excited. We are jumping into Marathon. It's finally here. This is Bungie's next big game after Destiny 2. I personally was a fairly big Destiny fan, I would say. I didn't play a ton of Destiny 2, but Destiny 1 I played hundreds of hours of, so I was hoping this game would be good. I've spent some time with the server slam and the past few days playing the game, and I wanted to give some early thoughts. Now, normally I do a full review, but with a game like this, I don't really feel comfortable reviewing it that quickly, so instead, this is just going to be my initial impressions of Marathon. Let's start out, what is Marathon? I'm sure everybody has probably heard of it or seen it in passing. It's an extraction shooter. You drop into one of 4 maps, usually with up to 2 other players, and your goal is to complete objectives for different factions, collect loot, survive fights against AI and other players, and then hopefully make it out alive with your gear. Think of something like Arc Raiders, it's similar to that. And right away, I'll say this, the core gameplay, it's very, very good. This is classic Bungie in the best ways. The shooting feels crisp, the movement feels smooth, and moment to moment, it's just fun to play. Bungie still knows how to make guns feel incredible, and Marathon absolutely has that same quality. Honestly, I'm not 100% sure what they do, but Bungie has cracked the code. And the different characters, or as they refer to them as shells, are a ton of fun to experiment with. Each one has their own roles and abilities, and they actually feel distinct from one another. My personal favorite was Vandal, which is basically the movement-heavy shell. Vandal has this power jump that lets you double jump and get around the map faster, and once I started using that, I didn't want to go back. It just felt great. And if that shell doesn't fit your playstyle, there are other options too. You've got things like a medic, recon, stealthy kind of assassin type shells, and for the most part Bungie did a really nice job making them all feel useful and unique. None of them stood out to me as completely broken, but none of them felt worthless either, which is exactly what you want in a game like this. And I've got to go back to the shooting for a second because it really is the best part of the game. It's satisfying, punchy, and every kill feels rewarding. Even something simple like landing a good shot on one of the AI robots and watching it explode just feels really good. That part of Marathon, Bungie absolutely nailed. But with that said, the game is also incredibly punishing. This is not the type of game where casual players are just going to hop in for a match or two and have a relaxing time. Marathon is brutal. The time to kill is very fast, both against players and against AI. You can go down in just a few good shots, and if your teammates aren't there to help you, you can be finished off almost immediately. It feels similar to Apex, but honestly, I think this one's even quicker than Apex. It's really, really, really fast with the time to kill. And yes, there are ways for your squad to bring you back, but it takes time. And a game this aggressive, time is not something you usually have. Between enemy players, AI, and just the general chaos of a match, it is very easy for things to fall apart fast. So I'll say this, if you have a tight squad, it may mean a squad that actually communicates and works well together. There's definitely fun to be had here, but if you're jumping in solo or with people who aren't really on the same page, Marathon can become frustrating very quickly. I also want to give credit to Bungie for the maps because visually they look fantastic. The colors are vibrant, the environments really pop, and everything has this clean but striking sci-fi style. As cheesy as it sounds, the maps really do feel alive. You can tell Bungie put a lot of effort into their design, and visually I think the game is very strong. Unfortunately, that is where my praise starts to end, because outside of the core gunplay, Marathon is honestly kind of a mess. Let's first start talking about the UI, because I do not say this lightly. Marathon might have the worst menu UI I have ever seen in a video game. And I actually mean this. I spent the last couple days thinking about it, and I probably would have said that title belonged to Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 from 2023, or any of the Call of Duties after. Call of Duty, for some reason, they just have completely destroyed their UI. But after spending time with Marathon, I would take Modern Warfare 3's menus over this any day of the week. Marathon's menu UI is just messy, it's confusing, It's overly stylized, and it constantly feels like it's getting in your way instead of helping you. It feels like Bungie wanted the menus to look edgy and futuristic, but instead they just made me frustrated the entire time. And normally I don't care that much about menus in games, but in an extraction shooter, the menus are a huge part of the experience. You're constantly sorting loot, comparing gear, upgrading your character, customizing weapons, checking faction tasks. You spend a lot of time there. So if the menus are bad, it affects the entire game. And here they are really bad. One of the biggest problems is that a lot of the items, mods, and attachments all look way too similar. So instead of quickly glancing through your stuff and knowing what you have to stop and hover over everything just to figure out what it does. That makes inventory management way more annoying than it needs to be, and that becomes even worse in actual matches. Especially when you're trying to loot quickly, if you kill a player and need to grab what you need fast, the whole thing feels just clunky and awkward. Even the button mapping feels strange. I'm playing on PS5, and to pick up an item from the ground, you press X. But when you're moving items while looting, it's square. And if you press X while looking through loot, you throw the item into the ground. It's just weird. It never felt intuitive to me. Now, sure, you can remap some of it, but because those buttons are tied to other actions, remapping them creates new problems. So instead of fixing the issue, I kind of just had to force myself to get used to it. Honestly, I never really did. And another big problem is that Marathon does a terrible job of explaining itself. The game just kind of throws you in. It dumps a bunch of terms and systems on you, gives you those very busy menus, and then expects you to figure it out as you go. And for me, that was not exciting, it was just overwhelming. I get what Bungie was probably going for. They probably wanted to avoid slowing players down with too much tutorialization and just get people into the action. I understand that idea, and I appreciate that, but in practice, I think it hurts the game a lot. Instead of feeling pulled in, I mostly felt confused and frustrated for a good chunk of my early time with it. And honestly, if I wasn't making content on this game, I probably would have just dropped it pretty early. That's how annoying I found the menus and onboarding. The story and lore also didn't really help me much. The game gives you a brief setup and then just kind of lets everything else sit in the background while you play. As you complete more missions, you do start to piece things together a bit more, but I never really felt like I had a strong grasp on what was actually happening. And I understand this is an extraction shooter, the story isn't really a major factor, but I'd at least like to have a little bit more understanding what's going on. And that's overall disappointing because the world itself seems really interesting. There's clearly some cool lore here. There are moments where you can tell Bungie built a rich setting with a lot going on. But the way the game presents that information just feels too vague and too easy to miss. After Destiny had so many issues over the years with storytelling and clarity, I was honestly hoping Bungie would be a little bit more direct this time around, but at least from my early time with Marathon, that really doesn't seem to be the case. Now, one thing I do think is worth mentioning is the price. Marathon is only $40, and in a world where most big games are now $70, that absolutely makes some of these issues a little easier to tolerate. Now, yes, the game does have a season pass, and if you're somebody who sticks with this long term, you will definitely end up paying more than that. But as an entry point, $40 is not terrible. It makes trying the game out feel a little less painful than if Bungie had launched this at full price, which honestly I was expecting them to do. I was shocked when I saw it was only $40. So at the end of the day, where do I land on Marathon? I think at its core, this is a very good Bungie shooter. The gunplay is excellent. The shells are fun to use, and the maps look great. There is a strong foundation here, but that foundation is buried under some of the most frustrating menus and most confusing onboarding I've seen in a game like this. And for a genre where menus, loot management, and progression systems are such a huge part of the experience, that is a massive problem. So no, I don't think Marathon is a total disaster. I don't fully understand why people are review bombing it. I think people just review bomb nowadays because it's the cool thing to do. But I also really can't recommend it to most people right now. If you're a hardcore extraction shooter fan, and especially if you have a coordinated squad to play with, there's probably enough here for you to enjoy. But for me personally, even with how strong the gameplay is, I just don't see this becoming one of my regular games. Marathon has the bones of a great extraction shooter. The problem is Bungie buried those bones under confusing systems, terrible menus, and way too much friction. Now, on the bright side, I think these are all things Bungie can fix, repair, get better, improve. When that happens, maybe I'll jump back in, but right now, I think I'm gonna pass on playing any more of Marathon. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Let me know if you thought of trying Marathon. If you've tried it, what are your thoughts? And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.